Hey, everybody. John Granato from the Bench Mornings on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5, and AJ Hoffman afternoons on the Blitz. Anyway, we're going to talk about Jack Easterby. Could he be fired after the trade deadline because there's really not a need? There is a need for an acting GM. You got to make moves. You got to, when players get injured, you got to find guys and whatnot. But it's not like Matt Bazurjan can't do that. So, I mean, listen. Jack Easterby is a liability right now. Jack Easterby is a guy that people don't trust. Jack Easterby is the guy who landed on top after all of these guys came through the organization, and he's the guy in the owner's ear. If I'm a general manager, and we've heard from general managers that have said, I don't want to be around if Jack Easterby is around. So is there a chance that Cal realizes this and lets him go?
There's a chance. It just seems like a slim one. I mean, this is the guy we all thought Bill O'Brien had climbed to the mountaintop behind the scenes of this thing, and then at the end of the day, Jack Easterby was the one swinging the axe on him. So the guy clearly has he has the ear of the owner. He has a lot more power than we thought he did, and I don't know if anything's really changed for him anyway. I mean, it seems like. Before, it wasn't a need for him before. We're talking about, well, is there a need for an interim GM? No, but what was his job before when Bill O'Brien was the GM? He was just there and he was in power. He's got a really undefined role within this organization, but it's obviously a big role. And it's obvious that Cal McNair puts a lot of faith and puts a lot of trust into what that guy tells him.
Listen, I didn't think that Cal would have the nuts to fire Bill O'Brien. I didn't. I thought he could go on 16 this year, and no, we're going to stay behind our man. Well, it was 0-4, and he had lost the team. He loses if they come in, and the search committee says that we can't hire. We don't have our best candidates don't want to come here because of Jack Easterby. Then that is something that's a real problem, and maybe Cal will address that too. I was surprised by Cal. I was surprised by the move that he made, and maybe I'll be surprised again. And it is true. If I'm a general manager, I don't know what Jack Easterby does. I know he's got the owner's ear. I don't need that in my building. I don't want that in my building. I don't want any dissension. I don't want any talk behind them, especially from a guy that doesn't know football like I know football. So maybe Cal will get that. Maybe Cal will understand that. Now, this is the trade deadline here. We're coming up on the trade deadline. Romeo said this week, he said, yeah, we're talking about trades. Who's making those trades? Who's deciding what the value of players are? Because we've seen they have no idea. However, if they do a good job, and Jack Easterby actually does contribute to this, and they do a good job, does it change your opinion of them?
Well, I mean, what constitutes a good job? A lot of these are trades that we won't know till down the road if it was the right move or not. And I think at the end of this season, when decisions like that would be made, your payoff for those trades won't have hit yet. Your team is going to be bad whether you trade guys or not. This is just a bad football team. To me, a success means you're coming out of this football season with some sort of draft capital to start over. Because that's really what this team needs, is a complete overhaul, which is a really rare thing to say about a team that has its franchise quarterback. Most of the time, and the Texans have been in this mode before, where they had their team built and everyone said, God, if the Texans should just get better out of Matt Schaub, they'd be a real contender. You're often just a franchise quarterback away. They're in a really rare situation where they have a franchise quarterback. At least they believe he's a franchise quarterback. What they don't have is any semblance of a roster around him. And really, there's no one on this roster other than Laramie Tunsil who you look at and go, you know what, this guy needs to be a part of our long-term plans. So, to me, a good job would be trading as many pieces as you can off of this team for future draft capital, because that's really what's going to help this team. And it's hard to know immediately if you got good value or not.
But the only guys, there's only two guys that would attract a first-round pick.
I don't think there's any guys that would attract a first-round pick.
Oh, Deshaun would attract a first-round pick.
Deshaun has a no-trade clause in his contract. Deshaun's not tradable.
Yeah, but if not if he approves it. If he approves it, and guess what? If he's going to a better place than this, he'll approve it.
Fair enough.
Okay, because it doesn't look like Deshaun's happy to me. Does it look like Deshaun's happy to you?
No.
Okay, so there's that. And then Tunsil is a guy that could get a first round, not 2 and a second.
No.
Not 2 and a second, but a first round pick. Laramie Tunsil could get that. Other than that, no. Now, if you got a second for JJ, would you be happy for that?
Absolutely.
I'd be thrilled. And it's going to be a late second, but at least you got a second back, and you give JJ. It's got to be a late pick because no bad team is going to give up a draft pick for JJ Watt.
They don't need him.
A good team that's contending is going to pick late, and that's fine with me. That's fine. You get a second round pick for JJ. He goes to a winner. He's got a chance to win, and you get a second round pick next year. If he did that, if Jack Easterby was able to get that job done, I would think a little bit differently of him.
I think so too. Will Fuller's another guy, a guy that shouldn't be a part of your long-term plans. He's healthy for the first time in his career, and it's the end of his contract. It's the ideal time to move him to a contender. I mean, here he's the number 1 wide receiver for a contender. He's probably a nice number 2. You maybe get a second or a third round, but really, if you get anything, because the worst thing you can do is keep him and then go, you know what? He was healthy this year. Let's sign him to a long-term deal. I don't want that. So I'm with, outside of those first 2 guys you mentioned, Deshaun and Laramie, who I don't think will go anywhere. There's literally no one on this team that I wouldn't consider trade. Now, some of them, Zach Cunningham, you can't trade because you just gave him a bunch of stupid money. A lot of these guys you can't trade, but anybody who's tradable, I would consider doing. Maybe Brandon Cooks, who you just gave up a second rounder for. Maybe you want to hold on to him through the end of his deal as long as he's playing well. But really, anybody on this roster besides those 2 guys, I'm fine moving on from.
Who cares if he's playing well? Get rid of him. If you can get a second back for him.
Oh, if you can get a second back, do it.
Yeah. Well, he's people giving up first for him twice, and you give up a second for him. I mean, people are stupid about Brandon Cooks. So if somebody's stupid, Bill O'Brien's no longer with us. But if somebody's stupid, then then give it up. But other than Whitney Merciless, Justin Reed, Zach Cunningham, none of these guys, none of them. Titus Howard, you just give up, or you used a first on him. What is he worth now?
If I could get a third round pick for Titus Howard, I would take it.
That's unbelievable. That's unbelievable. That is unbelievable. Anyway, I don't. You know what? Bottom line, I don't care if Jack Easterby makes unbelievable deals. I just feel like he's got to go. He's got to go because football people just don't trust him. And if you want to get a really good football person in here, you've got to have that guy's trust. He's not going to come. No football guy's going to come here as long as Jack Easterby is here.
Well, and not just a GM. You want to hire a head coach, and the head coach wants to know, hey, when we're making decisions, I'm going to sit down with my GM, not my GM and the team chaplain, and discuss all these football personnel moves. No head coach wants to deal with that.